For more on the global response to the outbreak, let's talk to Associate Professor Tang Bei at the Shanghai International Studies University. Thank you very much for joining us, Professor. So we can see that countries may have differentiated capabilities in their response to this outbreak. Do you think a global and maybe unified mechanism should be implemented to help them, and the role of WHO should be strengthened?
Yes, of course. In such a huge challenge like this novel coronavirus, of course there should be a coordinated international response to be put in place. However, I should say that in this case, we are facing a lot of even bigger challenges than we met before to put such a coordinated response system in place. First, I should say that there still is no consensus among policies we should apply in containing this virus of different countries. So different governments are taking different approach. We can see what China has done, but Singapore is taking its own way, right? And the effectiveness of that should be tested, and the preconditions for the success should also be tested. So there is no policy consensus, and all governments actually are making policies under great risks and uncertainties. So it's very difficult for the government suddenly to agree that, okay, this is the best way to curb the spread of disease. This is the first point I want to make. And the second, I should say that, of course, we all agree that World Health Organization should be standing at the center of the global coordination mechanism. However, its ability to engage different parts, to engage different partners, and to have all people to agree on the same point, to have put them in the same page, is very different. It's very difficult.
So having said that, what do you make of the notion from the WHO chief on Friday? He was saying the window of opportunity to curb the spread is narrowing. That means the clock is ticking. So what measures have you seen so far?
Yes, when we talk about the window opportunity, I think that the Director General of the World Health Organization have commended China for many times that with huge sacrifice, China has somehow slowed the spread of the disease worldwide, and by the other parts of the world to get prepared. So who should be prepared? First is all the governments around the world. After all, it's their responsibility to protect their people's health, right? So we should say that all the during this opportunity, this window opportunity, that governments should have the response and the preparedness system to be put in place. However, just as we can see that countries as Italy, as South Korea, as Japan, they all have difficulties in carrying out a coherent and effective measures in the first place. And we are talking about G20 countries. Those are not just underdeveloped countries. Those are G20 countries and G7 countries. So I should say that at this stage, the governments first, they are not prepared well. And the second, I should say that on the international level, a lot of further efforts should be made to support World Health Organization. The Director General has required a fund as early as February the 5th, but till now only a small fraction of that money, all the money needed, has already been collected and put in the account. We should admit that without enough resources invested by all international partners, that World Health Organizations actually has a little can do. They can carry out they cannot do nothing. They can do nothing.
Talking about resources, let's talk about Iran, which might be an extraordinary case in the global response country-wise, because we know, putting the outbreak aside, Iran is under severe U.S. economic sanction. That does not only apply to materials, but also nearly all the transactions in U.S. dollars in and coming out of Iran. So under this global epidemic, do you think the United States and other countries involved in sanctions against Iran should at least take a humanitarian angle?
Of course, no doubt. Iran is one of the members of the international community, and we should admit that in this common threat, we cannot guarantee our self-security if the Iran security Iran's people's health security cannot be guaranteed. So absolutely, I think the whole international society should support Iran, since it may have some difficulties in put a very effective response as fast as possible. But we should also, it's very important for all of us to bear in mind that Iran is a country with high national pride. So during this process, I think it requires sophisticated diplomatic skills to engage Iran and to work with Iran. So this is very important.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Tang Bei at Shanghai International Studies University.